Jude Law, this is your second Broadway show, Hamlet, and your second Tony nomination because you were nominated 15 years ago for Indiscretion?
Yeah, 15 years ago. So my ratio so far is pretty good.
Well, what is...
I'm not going to leave it 15 years, though. I think
Oh, you're going to come back a little sooner?
Squeeze in maybe 4 shows in my lifetime.
Well, you know what's remarkable about you being nominated for Hamlet is I went back and checked to see how many productions there have been on Broadway since the Tonys have been born, and it's more than a dozen, and they've resulted only in 2 nominations for playing Hamlet. One of them was Richard Burton, and he lost, and the other was Ralph Fiennes, who won.
And Rafe was nominated, or won, the year I was nominated, last 15 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So there's something significant to that.
In other
words, why is it so hard to get nominated for the greatest dramatic role of all time?
It's a very good question. It's a very good question. There is a certain amount of legacy you carry, I suppose. And without being too self-congratulatory, I think our production, led by Michael Grandage, our wonderful director, really did have always a very... His whole aim was always to tell it as new, fresh and simple and unaffected by 400 years of interpretation, and really just keep it clean. And I think what we discovered along the way, especially in New York, almost more even than London where we started, was this embrace of the play by young people. People came and it was such a thrill to hear people say, I've never seen Shakespeare before, I've never seen Hamlet before, this was my first, and I got it. People are always surprised. But of course, the guy knows how to write.
But when you were here on Broadway before, you weren't this celebrity superstar. You come back to take on the greatest...
What 15 years has done to me.
Yes, and then you were being chased by the paparazzi just trying to get to the theater, right? That would have to be...
It wasn't so bad. I have to say, I love coming to this city. And there's a little bit of that shenanigans now and again, but not really. You are pretty much left to your own devices. With theatre, it's always a bit of a trick because they know where you're going to be every night at the same time. But it never felt too invasive, if I'm honest.
But you've got to have a tough skin to endure what you did with Hamlet, because the New York Times was rough on you. The other media loved you. Now the Tonys vindicate the original reception this show got in London and with audiences here.
But out of line, haven't the Tonys sort of vindicated the New York Times on almost every level this year? It's pretty hard to find anything they like this year.
Whoa.
It was. They didn't seem to have a very happy year. I think Mr. Brantley clearly doesn't enjoy going to the theatre anymore.
What do you think of this whole showbiz game? You've been nominated for 2 Oscars, 2 Tonys, Golden Globes.
Well, I'm probably restating the obvious, but to me, it's all about it's a celebration. You can't kick yourself or be bitter if you don't get one, and if you do, it's fun, and it's really exciting to be recognised and celebrated by a community. And I'm not particularly a competitive person. I'm just very happy to be along for the party.
Kind of sounds like to be or not to be. Thanks, Jude.
It had an effect, you see.
Yes. Thanks.